Are we on? Someone's got to give me the cue when we're live. We're live.
You're live.
Okay. Right. Right. Welcome to. This is the 8th edition of Ask Atta. Wow, time moves fast, very, very quick. And we've got a very special guest today. Just quickly, I'm Kiri Andreo, co-founder of Atta Plus. I think some of you probably already know. And I've got a very special guest today, fascinating man, and also an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur who just recently successfully fundraised on our platform. And he's going to tell you a little bit about that journey and a little bit around, we're also going to skirmish, I think, around the issues around the business that he's in, which is a really fascinating business. And one, of course, I take a lot of, being a kind of like a health fanatic, I take a lot of interest in. Anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna tell you his name, and then I want him to give you a little bit of a brief introduction as to himself and what he does and all this. This is Jag Kaurah, and he's the CEO of Josens Projects. Now, some of you who are regular to Atta Plus would know Josens just recently successfully fundraised, and they oversubscribed by over 300%. So we're very happy for them. A lot of hard work on Jag's side, and maybe we can elaborate a little bit on that a bit. So Jag, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Yeah, thank you, Kiri. Yes, we thought about crowdfunding some time ago, and then we chose Atta Plus. And we were lucky. I think we chose very well. The reason why we decided to go for crowdfunding rather than other systems is because I'm convinced that crowdfunding is going to be one of the major systems for funding projects in the future, and it's a much better system of choosing the right projects using the wisdom of the crowd. Now, having decided to go for crowdfunding, and we met up with Atta Plus, they had a very whole stream of things that they did. One of the things they did was you all did the due diligence on us, which I think was very useful, because having somebody else come in and look at our company is always very useful, and also gives confidence to other people. Then the process of developing all the documents, fine-tuning the documents was also pretty good, and it sharpened our thinking too on what we are doing, how we're doing it, how to summarize it. Then after that was the pitching and raising the funds, which again helped us to clarify our own thoughts and views. And we were very lucky that within about 2 months we got the amount of money we needed, in fact more than the amount of money that we needed. So we stopped the crowdfunding early.
Right. Yeah. That's wonderful. You've told us a little bit about the crowdfunding journey, but you haven't told the audience a little bit about your business. Can you just elaborate a little bit and how you got into this and all that? I think that because to me, it's like I said, it's a very exciting business, and it's definitely I wouldn't say, I mean, you could say a business of the future. It's actually a business that really is needed now, because it addresses a lot of our current concerns on many areas, particularly with regards to health and food security and things like that. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that, Jake.
You touch on something that is so close to my heart. Would everybody want to sit here for the next 10 hours?
Well, I'm going to ask you to show a little bit of restraint here. Try and be as because we've had a lot of conversations on this, and it is really, really fascinating, and you can go into so many different areas. But just try to, for my sake, or for our sake, for the audience, just try to, keep it to, if you like, the key salient
Okay, I will summarize it.
Yeah.
Now, in 2006, I decided that I wanted to do something for the world, for the people, and all life. Looking around, there were many areas which were already being handled by others, including solar and all that. But microalgae has got a potential to dramatically change everything on Earth. But the technology and the knowledge was very limited. And what I found was also that it could not be commercialized on the technologies used at that time.
Right. This is the actual production of the microalgae,
actual,
right? That was the
actual production.
The production of it, which presents its own challenges, right? Because
very big challenges,
right.
And it took a long time to sort it out. We have done that now, and now we are ready to go full-scale commercial on many aspects of microalgae. But why is microalgae so important? They were the first plants on Earth. They created the oxygen atmosphere, and we are here because of them. From microalgae, which is by far the biggest genetic plant base on Earth, some microalgae evolved into macroalgae, which is seaweed, and even less of them evolved into plants. So everything that you see, all the plants that you see on Earth, are actually a very small portion of the microalgae. Every plant has got an ancestor in the microalgae world. In essence, you can produce anything that we need, any molecule we need, whether it's carbohydrates, edible oils, or protein powders, or vitamins, whatever we want.
You talk about protein powders, you get my attention, you know that.
Yes.
Okay.
By far the healthiest protein powder,
right,
by far, is microalgae.
Right.
Nothing else compares. It's similarly in many other things.
So its applications are quite wide.
Very wide, yeah. So that was part of, that's the one part of microalgae, that it's a huge genetic base. Second is they grow so fast that if we had Aladdin's magic lamp and we magically transform all agriculture to be microalgae based, we will need only about 1% of the agricultural land of Earth to produce the same biomass.
Right.
Which means 99% can go back to nature. No more deforestation.
Right. And you see what kind of stress that farmland puts on arable land.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
puts on the whole environment.
Yeah, massive. In fact, people don't appreciate how far we've gone on the stress level on Earth. We need to do something. We need to do something quickly. Now, the third thing is that microalgae are by far the healthiest of all food. This has been stated many times in for example, in the UN food conferences. As far back as 1974, spirulina, which is one of the microalgae species, was declared as the best food for the future by the UN food conference.
Classified as a superfood or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. But beyond that, there are many other species, hundreds of thousands of other species. So it's a huge base, huge thing, very healthy, the best thing to do. Now, but the technology to grow it was not quite there. That's what we have done. We have now got a technology
to grow it en masse. You mean in terms of
large quantities?
Large quantities, yeah.
In industrial scale.
You can't naturally harvest it. It's very complex, I would think, right? And
yes, it's naturally. First of all, there are many problems. One is it's like a jungle, or there are many species in any water that you're using.
Right.
You got to grow a single species. For example, you can harvest a forest for timber, but you can't harvest it for, say, wheat, or you can't harvest it for papayas.
Right.
You got to grow a single species.
Single species.
Yeah. So harvesting it from the wild, yes, you can do it for certain things, but beyond that, the harvesting cost is very high because it is very dilute. You need to thicken the culture.
Right.
To be able to make it economic to harvest.
Right. So the early production methods were not particularly successful.
No.
So you came up with your own,
Yes.
am I correct, production method, which
Exactly.
you've been working on since 2006.
And six. Yes.
So you've recently, we won't go into the details of it, but it's fascinating. So you've managed to develop these
Yes.
production techniques. So now now you're moving the business into commercialization or certain parts of it. Yeah, am I correct?
Yes.
Because there are different applications for the microalgae. So now Josens is specifically has been specifically created to market a very interesting product. Am I correct?
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about this 45 essentials?
Can I actually step back a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, step back a little bit into the
Please,
microalgae production
please.
because this is very interesting. Then I'll come to the 45%. You see, the thinking was that the raceway pond was the only system of growing microalgae, and it was well known. Almost everybody in microalgae thought that closed systems could never be economic, but closed systems are very important because then you can grow all the microalgae species, hundreds of thousands of them, while the raceway pond system is only limited to about a dozen or so. Mm-hmm. Not very good, very small numbers. But beyond that, it's not very clean because in the pond you get all sorts of rubbish. But in a closed system, it can be clean. And nobody wanted to do any research on closed systems purely because they thought it's never going to be economic. There was a conventional wisdom. So when my first patent was published by WIPO on 4th of September 2008, we'll never forget that date. This was such a shock to the microalgae world that all major, well, maybe not all, but most major research organizations doing research in microalgae, like NASA, because in space you need microalgae. So NASA is doing a lot of research on microalgae. The Weizmann Institute in Israel, the Europeans, the Chinese, even the Australians tried out my system because it's first time somebody showed that a closed system could be economic. This is what changed the microalgae world, and there are now a lot of people doing what called research on micro. Right. This is very important because now so many people are doing research on closed systems that they're becoming cheaper and cheaper, and I think we still continue to lead in that, so that we can now start thinking about transforming agriculture itself. Now, going back to your what I call essential foods, that is also equally fascinating. It is not known generally. It is known in the scientific world, but not known generally that there are only 47 essentials for life, human life. That's water, oxygen, and the 45 food essentials. And if you have all these 45 food essentials, you actually live healthier than eating everything else. There was a chap on the Guinness Book of Records where somebody fasted. He did not take any calories for 382 days. Yes.
And lived to tell the tale.
Not only lived, he came out healthier than this. He was 207 kilos, and he wanted to get to 82 kilos. So he decided fasting. And what did he take? He had already had enough amino acids because he's already got all the muscle and the fat. He had all the essential oils, which all this fat was there. So what he lacked was the minerals and the vitamins, making up all the 45 essentials. Right. And all he did was he took the minerals and the vitamins, which means 0 calories.
And fluids, of course, just water.
Of course, fluids. Right. That's essential. You've got to have your oxygen and the water.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was.
And he came out healthier, and he came out at 82 kilos.
Amazing.
Yes.
Right.
This is a fundamental fact that
So no cheat days. You're gonna have,
No, he actually what he did was he went to the hospital every day to be checked to make
Right.
sure that he did not have any calories. They could from his sugar levels and all that, they could tell whether he eaten anything.
Now, imagine if you can do that remotely. That'd be interesting. Okay, maybe some entrepreneur out there's got could use that idea.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but you see, the 45 essentials also does a lot of other things. For example, what happens is we eat too much purely because
Yeah.
it's just like when we're underwater, when we're short of oxygen, we struggle to get the oxygen. Without us knowing it, our body struggles to get the 45 food essentials. That's why sometimes you feel, oh, I got to go and eat that. You got a craving for some particular food because the body remembers that when you when you ate that, what the body is now short of was in that food.
Right.
If you had all your 45 essentials, you will have
You won't have any cravings.
No cravings.
Right. Because I guess there's a lot of wasted calories in the food that we eat. Right. A lot of it is unnecessary.
That's not all. The point is this: when you have wasted calories, you got also a lot of wasted junk coming with it.
Right.
And
a lot of health issues related to that
spring
out of that.
Lot of
Right.
health issues. That's why you get the metabolic syndrome, which causes about the estimate is that it causes about 95% of all internally caused diseases.
Right.
And this is disastrous. If you had all your 45 food essentials, you would eat far less, and it would not. You would not get the metabolic.
You won't get
syndrome.
the cravings and everything.
Yeah. And metabolic syndrome
Syndrome.
leads to almost all the diseases. Your what do you call? People get diabetic. People get all sorts of diseases
Right.
because of that.
Right.
And you wouldn't even cancer. Cancer is
Right.
a offshoot of that. So, the metabolic syndrome in layman's term is very simple. It's like this room here. If every day we bring in more stuff into the room and take out less stuff, over some time, this will be all so choked up that you can't work here. The body, same thing happens. Our arteries, our veins, our organs get choked up. That is the metabolic syndrome.
Right.
And when you get choked up, you get sick.
Right.
So that the answer to all this is actually so simple. Just have your 45 essentials.
Right.
That's why, to make it simple for people, we produce a powder which is got at the moment partly based on microalgae, the healthiest of food.
Oh, I forgot. We didn't bring it to show people.
Oh boy,
we forgot the product. That's your flagship product, right? Under Josens at the moment. 45. It's called the 45 essentials.
45 essentials.
Yeah.
So but if you have that, then you naturally start eating less, which means you don't get the metabolic syndrome, which means you don't get sick, and you can actually reverse diseases.
Right.
I'm a good case of that.
When did you start formulating the 45 essentials and come up with was that you focused firstly on the production methods, right, to begin with?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to ask you a little bit. How did you fund that up until then? What was your the way that you funded the business? Because you started back in 2006. That's 14 years ago.
Up to the end of 2008, it was my own money.
Like a seed fund, your own. Every entrepreneur puts his own. Yeah.
It was my own money. Then at the beginning of 2009, Mosti gave us about 1 million ringgit
in grant. That's a grant.
As a grant. Yeah.
That's a grant. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
And then that lasted about a year or so, just over a year. Then we had started getting friends and relatives to put in money, and
they're still friends and relatives, right?
They're all still friends and relatives. In fact, I think there was a time when they were getting a little bit tired of me doing R&D and not going into commercialization. Yes. There was, but now they're all back. They're very happy what we have achieved, and now I think we've got a pretty happy family of investors.
Okay.
Because they know where we're going.
Right. So and I think that was part of when you decided to to choose equity crowdfunding as a funding method for you to take it to the next level? I mean, that helped you to crystallize a lot of your vision and direction.
Yes, the crowdfunding, we chose crowdfunding because it does a number of things. One is you make the public more aware of what we are doing.
And have you seen that actually? Have you seen that any tangible manifestations of the awareness you've created out of this product?
Yes. Maybe not massive yet, but I think it'll get more. But
you can leverage it actually on your when you do your marketing now. This crowdfunded on that. This is successfully crowdfunded.
Yes,
this is the product that was successfully crowdfunded because that is market validation.
Yes. But beyond that crowdfunding, as I said earlier, it help us crystallize our thinking, help us focus how we want to go for our commercial way forward, and it's now very clear. We got a two-track system now.
Right.
One is, of course, we want to improve people's health. Remember what happened in 2006? I started this because I wanted to help the planet and the health of people.
Right.
So the first part, the helping the people's health, is the 45 essentials. And the second part, what we call planet, is we want to massively increase the cultivation of microalgae so that less land is used. And microalgae are also far more efficient in producing oxygen for the atmosphere than plants are. Plants have got woody structures and all that, which are less use of oxygen. Microalgae is all fruit, and they use far more CO2, and they give off far more oxygen. In fact, each kg of microalgae that we produce has used up 1.8 kg on average of CO2, more than its own weight, and it gives off a lot of oxygen. So the idea is, let's try and do as much of a change from current agriculture to microalgae agriculture. We want protein powders, you grow microalgae for protein. You want carbohydrates, grow microalgae for it. You want cosmetics raw materials, grow microalgae to get the cosmetics. It's far healthier, far gentler on the skin than.
Have you been approached by any companies in these sectors in terms of partner with you?
Yes, we have. In fact, we've been talking to a few companies.
Right. Did the crowdfunding campaign did that open up any possibilities in terms of partnerships and?
Yes, it did, but we have not pursued that.
We're not pursued. Which areas though were they? This is a matter of interest to us.
Actually, the crowdfunding, there were a couple of potential investors who were interested in a few possible products, not for themselves but for other companies.
Right.
And they were talking about a number of possible products, but we have not actually progressed that yet.
Okay.
Purely because I think.
Is that food related or is that cosmetic related? What areas are they?
One of them was actually interested in protein,
okay.
And one of them was interested in omega-3.
Right.
And we have suggested
health.
Yeah, we have suggested other things to them also.
Right.
But what we needed to do was first use the money that we've got. Our first major priority is to.
Yeah, I was going to come to that.
Is to use the money, get profitable first. And I think we can do that within the next 3 months. We're already on the way to doing that.
Okay.
And once we are profitable, then we've got a strong platform to stand on.
Right.
And then we start going into many other projects.
Right.
So yes, we're talking to them.
Right. But the focus is on getting the company profitable at the moment with the 45 essential product.
Exactly.
Right.
And we are talking to many companies now. In fact, some very famous name, but they've already signed NDA, so I can't disclose
Sure.
their names. They are very keen to go for it. But just give you one example. This is an interesting example. There's a company doing lab-grown prawn meat, not prawns, lab-grown prawn meat.
Mm.
And what they found is that microalgae is a very good feed for the stem cells of the fish that they're producing. But unless it's a closed system, the microalgae are not clean enough for the lab-grown stem cells.
I see.
Yes, very interesting.
Right.
But at the moment, my concentration is that we must get profitable first.
No, sense. Yeah.
You very
Resources are always limited, so
Yeah.
I mean, so it's better to I think focus on where you're caught, what you have at the moment.
Yeah.
It's in this is in your business plan anyway. So
Yes.
I think it's
So I'm pretty confident that within 3 months we'll be profitable.
wonderful.
So after that, we got a whole long line, a whole lot of possible projects here and overseas.
Excellent.
In fact, one of our potential partners has already registered a company in India. We've already got a company ready to go in Australia. So
excellent.
all waiting for
Exciting.
us. All waiting for
Right,
us. Yeah.
right. I just want to again, go back to the campaign, because I think you started your campaign and then we had the lockdown.
Yes.
So did that present any challenges in itself?
I think well, two things. One is I think people got very frightened to invest,
Yeah.
very scared to invest in new projects. So that was a negative. But the positive was actually, I think online is a better platform for crowdfunding than face-to-face. I believe that you can reach much more people. It's easier for them. They don't have to travel to a particular place, and you can reach out to a much bigger area of people.
Right.
And I think we actually did better online than on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, previous to the lockdown, we used to have our pitching events, for example, eye contact. We'd have it at the office. Now we do it virtually,
Yeah.
So I think things, and actually we are seeing more people attending.
Yes.
And I think you experienced that as well. You experienced a few of the eye contact sessions, and sorry, I just want to indicate here, just to remind people that please send your questions in. This is a Q&A. We do allow for Q&A, so there will be some questions, and I think maybe my girls are pointing. We've got some questions already. There you are. So we this is from Zuleika, and she's saying, what was the most challenging part of fundraising during COVID? So yeah,
Well,
you mentioned about the confidence thing. I think people's confidence, because future was uncertain. So was that the?
It was not just the confidence of the investors. It was our own confidence too, because coming for a physical meeting during the COVID period was.
Well, could you? I mean,
we could not.
For a while, we couldn't move anywhere.
We
right?
couldn't
Right.
anyway. Yeah.
So
No, it was also confidence. Okay, how long is it going to last? When are we going to be able to expand our project? What are we going to do?
But I think what I found fascinating about your product, and the area that you're, maybe not specific to the product, 45 Essentials, but the business you're in terms of microalgae production, is that you're addressing some of the key things that actually the pandemic is kind of a result of. And that is, number one, I mean, one of the things became apparent, I think, within Malaysia is our food security issue, number one. If it continued for a long period of time, the supply chains were affected, for example, we could have faced food shortages within the country. We don't produce sufficient amount. So your technology is one area that would address food security. The other thing is the health aspect, the environmental aspect, of it. Health is also another important dimension of this, because if you look at it's people with pre-existing conditions are the ones that are actually more prone to be more severely affected by COVID-19. So I think and the thing is, you touch on all these areas really.
Absolutely, all three. You see, if we do not stop deforesting, if we put so much more pressure on the environment, we are going to suffer.
We're seeing more viruses crossing
Yes.
over, you mean,
Yeah,
for example.
we're getting too congested.
Right.
We have to stop that. So microalgae is by far the best way of doing that. Food security, you see, in a very small area, 1% of the area, you can grow what you can grow in 100% of the area. So food security problem could disappear if we move to microalgae. Then remember, microalgae is the healthiest of all food. But beyond that, you can actually convert microalgae to the food we like. We don't have to change our habits. Food tech has been able to change. You take the basic ingredients from whatever.
So you mean you make it into a steak and things like that?
Yes, exactly.
Really?
Well, steak. Look at it. Look at what they're doing. They're doing stem cells from meat.
Yeah.
They're doing the Impossible Burger.
Right.
From vegetarian, and apparently you cannot tell the difference.
Right.
And a friend of mine has actually tasted it and it says yes, it is pretty much similar. So the food tech has already done it. So but what you need is the raw materials.
The raw material.
So once you got the raw materials, and by far the healthiest of raw materials and the most prolific in production is microalgae. So why not use the best of the best?
Right.
Why go to second best?
Absolutely right. Okay. We have another question, Jag. This is from the Eco Brick Project. Wow, that sounds fascinating. Jag, hi Jag. Can you tell us why you chose to go for equity funding as opposed to, say, debt funding? And if so, why crowdfunding?
Yeah, ours is what you call equity, but it is what are the shares called?
Preference share.
Preference shares.
Yeah.
So because we decided to go for equity because, but we are paying interest, so it's like a debt at the moment. But we want those who have invested to benefit more than just getting interest. Because what are we? We are on a journey to get as many people together into this big project. We don't want to do it alone. We want to carry everybody with us, because this is huge. It's going to impact almost every industry, and the more people that join us, the better. So equity is the way to get people more involved with us. If it's a loan, after a while they go off and they do something else.
I'm saying with crowdfunding, why use crowdfunding as a mechanism to get equity?
Okay. Now crowdfunding, because I think, in my opinion, crowdfunding is the future of funding projects. I think it's a good way of getting the knowledge of the crowd, the wisdom of the crowd into your projects. Plus, it gives you some exposure. If you go quietly and get a loan from a bank, nobody's going to know.
Right.
So you haven't got that extra benefits. Here, we get a lot of
visibility.
We have visibility, extra benefits. Right. You're helping more people. Right. So I think crowdfunding is great.
Yeah, I mean, also I think because you are an exciting company, you're giving the man in the street the opportunity to participate in your journey and get that upside in the investment, as opposed to making it just a private thing and only those in the know and all that.
Yeah.
So you're democratizing wealth as well and creating this equality of opportunities for people to invest.
Absolutely. We want everybody to join us. Anybody who's got any particular product that they want, they can get it from microalgae. Whatever food products or other biological products that you're using, selling, buying, you can get it from microalgae. Right. Join us. We can produce it. Because remember that anything obtained from plants, there's a parent in the microalgae world.
Okay, got a question here from Sarah La. I hope I pronounced that right. How will microalgae change our lifestyle?
Well, if it depends on what scale we can go to. Uh, there are many changes that could happen. What I love most of all is if we can reduce deforestation,
Yeah.
we can reduce the footprint of agriculture on Earth. That is perhaps to me the most important. But beyond that, I think the health aspect of food is very important. You know, it's well known that food is our major cause of aging. We we can do a lot better with microalgae. They age us far less than other food. So I don't want to go into the details of that because that's a very complicated subject. But in essence, it is known that we would age less if our diet was all microalgae.
Right. Yeah, I do want to I want to touch on aging a little bit with regards to both of us are well technically not chronologically young. I see Joshua laughing over there. What keeps you going, Jag?
For me, it's the vision.
Vision.
It's something bigger than me.
Yeah.
It's something you know I want to do purely because and I'm so excited. I'm always up. First thing I start doing is I start looking at what I want to do for the day, and the last thing I do before going to sleep is again look.
So the vision keeps you young, then.
Yeah, the vision keeps.
And I think it's also the mental, if you like, challenge of having something like this.
Yes.
That keep also is actually.
Yes, it's very important. If you got a challenge bigger than you,
Yeah.
which consumes you, which makes your whole life becomes that.
Right.
You got no time to age.
Right. So where do you see the future for Josens? Where do you see it? How do you see the company progressing in the next? Okay, we talked about profitability as a short-term goal and all that, but long-term or even medium-term, is there a listing? I mean, one is in what areas you're going to expand into, but also for the investors, are you looking at a listing this, or what are you looking at into the future?
Yeah, immediate goal, of course, as you said, is profitability, but we are already developing many downstream products from the all 45 essentials. We're doing a meal bar, we're doing a chocolate bar, we're doing many downstream things.
Are you working with anyone on creating that steak, by the way?
Yes, that we are doing with OEM companies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we're putting it in sachets with different flavors.
Oh, wow.
And a whole range of downstream products are coming on stream.
When do you see those products being commercialized? Will they be Josens, or will they be you're just OEM? That's it. There'll be another brand or another company, IP and JV or.
Yeah, we're gonna do. We're gonna have a few markets where we will market ourselves, our own brand, but the world is too big for us to expand at the speed we want to if we want to go on our own. So what we're going to do is work with companies in different countries who are into the health food industry and get them to participate in the distribution and the development. For example, if somebody wanted to do it in France, it would be lovely to work with a good company there. Or somebody wanted to do it in the US. It'd be a good company to work with. So yes, we want to bring in as many others into our business. But on the all 45, this can translate into more and more products down the track. And it's the list is endless. But beyond that, we want to start producing products for people. For example, and this is the example I always use, if there's a company that is marketing protein powders, by far the healthiest of protein powders is microalgae powder. For example, if you say that fish is healthy because of the protein amino acid profile of the fish, But hey, fish don't produce the protein.
Yeah.
All the protein from fish comes from microalgae, whether it's taken directly or indirectly up the food chain. Microalgae is the one that produce that protein. But in translating that protein from microalgae to the fish, you're adding on a lot of unwanted things, the heavy metals, the purines, all the ones that cause you trouble. So if you take the protein directly from microalgae, it's much healthier. But beyond that, we could do a few different species of microalgae, extract the protein, and we can change the amino acid profile to be ideal for us. At the moment, it's generally known that the amino acid profile of egg white is the best for us. But I think we can do a lot better than that from microalgae.
Right. I want to cut you off here because we've only got a few minutes and I want to address this question quickly. But really, honestly, I mean, this is really a big, fascinating area. And if you have the time, we'd love to get you on again and talk about this in greater depth. And then, because I think even the audience should know more about what you're doing and why it's so important and all that. But there is a question here that I'm only going to I'm not going to say the full name. I'm just going to say Kita, because, and that is what was your experience working with Atta Plus? Any specific areas you want to highlight? What didn't you like? Maybe that might be another thing, But yeah. What was your experience working with Atta Plus?
Working with Atta Plus has been a great journey. I think the people are great. And I was very, that's sincere right from the heart. I like the people that we dealt with, and I think the people were all very, very knowledgeable, very good, and I'm delighted that we were lucky enough to choose Atta Plus.
Thank you. So was there anything, not specific about Atta Plus, but anything in the crowdfunding journey that you found maybe could improve and be better or
Oh my God, there's a lot that I could say about that. Don't start me off. Okay. But anyway, just a few pointers. I think it's very.
Maybe in a way you say it, is that any advice you can give any prospective entrepreneur or company that wants to fundraise, what they should do, how they should, to make crowdfunding successful.
Okay, yeah, I think maybe that's a narrower focus because otherwise I'll go on and on. Okay, now if you want to do crowdfunding, you must work hard at getting the money yourself.
Yes.
A crowdfunding platform can provide you the platform, can provide you the credibility of somebody else having looked at your business. Crowdfunding platform can also provide you the additional money that the government would bring in, but you must work on it yourself very hard.
In terms of the fundraising as well.
In terms of fundraising.
Communicating to your community,
yes.
Getting them engaged, getting them to support it.
Yes.
You're right. It also gives a boost to other investors coming in, confidence and all that.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, we do get a lot of companies that come in and they think the platform's going to do everything for them, A to Z. You're right. I mean, we give you the legal cover, if you like, and also making sure that there is an independent validation.
Yes.
Compliance with all the regulatory requirements. So investors know that they're not going to get fleeced and you're going to run away with their money and things like that. You're right.
Yeah.
Right, but it still requires the entrepreneurs to do
yes.
a lot of the
very
pitching, a lot of the attempts at fundraising and all that. You're right.
In fact, if you are not going to spend the time and effort and energy to do that, don't even try.
Yeah, fundraising is hard. I mean, as I said, and equity crowdfunding is not it's not supposed to just eliminate all that effort for you. You still have to get engaged and still work at it and whatever. We give you the platform and the tools and the support. But and quite right, because in a lot of ways the journey I think also helps the entrepreneur to crystallize their vision a lot more clearly as well, and also gets to engage with investors. And I think that is only the beginning. Like I say now, this would be a continuous journey with you and them in terms of moving forward. So I think that dialogue, that relationship has been initiated and you continuously develop and all that. So
in fact, having more shareholders come in is a great plus, because remember, we want to bring many people into what we are doing.
Right.
It's not about us, it is about everybody.
And like I say, it's the wisdom of the crown. I think
Yes.
you've said that a few times, and absolutely right.
Yeah.
Right, Lisa. I think we're almost about out of time. Correct. My girls are indicating to me that we're out of time at the moment. So I just want to thank you again for joining us, Oscar. Do look out for our next program. I don't know who's going to be on board, who's going to be on the show, whether it's.
We're gonna have exciting one coming up.
Oh, it will be an exciting one. I promise you, it'll be
We're gonna
another.
have Hiswani
Hiswani from.
from Ilkisau.
From
Ilkisau Equinas.
Equinas, from Equinas. Okay, that's something to look forward to. Okay, and I think Elaine, my co-founder, will be hosting that one. So unfortunately, you won't get to see me. Unfortunately, you won't get to see me. That's one. But once again, I want to thank Jag again, and congratulations once again, Jag. Wonderful effort. Great. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye. How's that, guys? Very good.